Dun, 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 dun.
Do the honors.
Wait. Oh, say, can you see?
Oh my god.
This is a patriotic episode.
Oh, yes, it is. It is. Yeah.
America.
Welcome back to Golden Handcuffs.
Welcome back to Golden Handcuffs. Yeah. Election week is coming up.
I know.
I'm getting my ballots in the mail.
Regardless,
Haven't filled them out yet, but I am going to vote.
Yeah, regardless of who you're voting for, go out and vote. It's super important. Speaking of patriarchy, I guess, or what is it?
Patriotism?
Patriotism. At the Usher concert last weekend, he stopped in the middle of his set and made sure to tell everybody in the audience to go vote and why and blah blah blah. And it was I was like, okay, he wants to. This is a piece of him that he feels like he needs to, share with people. This is his platform. And I'm also like, that's not why we're here. Do that on your Instagram. We're here to,
Were you like, can you please get back to, yeah.
I also was a little bit like, I wonder if this is going to be the last time he performs because of all this Diddy stuff. I'm like,
I don't trust any of them.
No. And all the conspiracy theorists come out to play. Anyway, so today we wanted to talk a little bit about what's going on with each candidate. Well, actually, on a topic that both candidates have addressed and how we think it could affect our industry and ourselves personally. Mm-hmm. Obviously, as restaurant workers and tipped employees, we get taxed on our tips. Some people think that that's something that should happen. Other people completely disagree and think that it should not be taxed.
I disagree.
Why do you think you should not be taxed on your tips?
For one, it's a gift.
Okay.
We already get taxed on our payroll. And yes, it is income, but it's not guaranteed income. Most people don't claim all their tips anyway. Mm-hmm. But people are giving it to you. It's like, it's a present.
Yeah.
Yeah. What do you think?
So my initial thought was absolutely not. I don't want to get taxed on my tips. After starting to do a little bit more research about the big companies and kind of what could happen if that were to change, I can kind of see both sides now.
Well, both candidates are proposing to eliminate taxes on tips.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
Now, if you live in a state that obviously has state taxes, you still have to pay those. Mm-hmm. Even on your tips.
Right. A lot of times candidates say a lot of things during this process too, so who knows if that would actually be set in place. But Trump said he was going to do it, and then a few weeks later, Kamala Harris said she's going to do it as well.
And while this is a topic that they have rarely agreed on, mm-hmm. there's still a deeper meaning behind both candidates' choice on doing that. So Kamala is saying she wants to eliminate the taxes on tips, but incentivize paying more per hour to mm-hmm. restaurant employees.
Right. What I was reading, and this is what kind of got me thinking, because I feel like that's just me in general. I could feel a certain way about something, but I'm also very interested in learning why people think certain ways and why
totally
both sides. And honestly, I feel like if a lot more people did that, we wouldn't have so many goddamn problems.
People are losing friends out here. I'll be friends with anybody. I don't care.
Yeah.
That's what's the beauty about everybody being different. But you were researching.
Okay. So the National Restaurant Association loves the idea of servers and waitresses not getting taxed on their tips because then they don't have a reason to raise their wages for their employees. But is that a ploy to keep the lower class and the lower middle class in the lower middle class and low class and keep the businesses richer? So that's where I started to think are we being tricked into thinking this whole tax on our tips is the next big thing? Maybe for us, yes, because of the amount of money that we make as bottle servers, but as a tipped industry, I don't know, because your typical server, the average salary is $50,000 to $60,000. Which is much different than what we make as bottle servers.
Yeah.
So I feel like we're in a skewed version of reality when it comes to, of course, we don't want to get taxed on our tips.
It's also the hourly is different. So there's union. Mm-hmm. In LA, we make minimum wage, which is 15 or 16 bucks mm-hmm. or something. Out there in
Mississippi,
Tennessee, it's $2. Mm-hmm.
Right. But for them, is that people who are making $2, $13, is that keeping them where they're at? By then not taxing their tips,
I don't know, because they're not making any money on their paychecks anyway. So,
but it keeps them happy, right? Because they think that they're getting, oh, well, my tips aren't getting taxed anymore. But you're still working for $2.13.
do you want to know why I don't think that's a good idea?
100%.
Our money does not come from our paychecks, in my eyes. My tips is my income.
Yeah.
But as soon as she starts raising those wages, there's not going to be a lot of incentives, I think, for the servers to continue getting tipped the way we do. Like the national average is 20% grat. Is that going to take it down to 10% grat? Like if I was going in somewhere, I'd be like, oh, they're making $30 an hour. Why am I tipping them? That's what I feel like.
Yeah. But like you just said, somebody's getting paid $30 an hour, but what does your esthetician make? It's definitely more than a restaurant server or like a bottle server.
And then you're tipping
and we're still
them.
tipping them 20%.
I don't know.
So another con that I was thinking, and a lot of other people seem to think the same, is will that, like us not getting taxed on our tips, incentivize other businesses then to create jobs that are paid off of tips? Like let's say, okay, well, if you're not going to get taxed on your tips, then your mechanic now works for tips, and I'm going to pay him minimum wage instead of $100 an hour, whatever he gets. Hopefully he gets tipped. Okay, your maintenance guy that comes in and does your stove or whatever, he's going to get minimum wage now, but tipped. So now, was that going to incentivize other employers then to change their, business model to tipped employees?
I wonder if there's like a law in place for that already.
There's not.
There's not.
Right.
I mean, I tip them anyway, but like...
Is that just going to spiral if they do decide to not tax on tips, So, like I was saying, that's what kind of started to get me thinking in both directions, bigger than just myself, because selfishly, yes, it would benefit me to not get taxed on my tips. It would benefit my husband and I. But when I think of the economy, I don't know.
Well, let me say this. Okay. Back to what the restaurants want. If you're like an owner, if tip practicing decreases because hourly wages increase, then the tipped employees are now relying on their paycheck money, and there's no real incentive for them to deliver great service because they already know they're getting paid on their paycheck.
But that's like with any job, though. You're still required to do a good job at your job for your hourly wage.
But do you think a lot of people won't? Because obviously a huge part of tipping is providing good service.
I mean, it depends on how much the increase is, but I would think they would start to need to hire people once the mindset changed and it became, you need to do a good job at your job, this is what your wage is. You either get hired or you don't.
Okay, another thing, robotics. AI coming to take our jobs.
I know.
And that is not like, what if? That is happening.
I know.
Are they getting taxed?
That's a good question.
And I looked into that.
Okay.
Neither Kamala or Donald, neither of them have detailed like an outlined proposal plan for that. Tech companies have said they could do like a robotic tax that would probably be equivalent to what each employee that got displaced.
Because of the robotics?
Yeah, they've also said if you're losing your job to AI, that they will pay for your studies to get into a different field.
Yeah, well, eventually, is what they want to do is have everything run by AI, and then we wouldn't have to work, basically, as humans. But then we would be given checks every month to just live as humans. But I feel like that would be terrible because so much purpose and fulfillment comes from people doing their jobs, I feel like it just wouldn't be healthy for the human race. I saw this documentary, I forget exactly what it was called, but I think it was on Netflix, and it was like the blue spots of the world or something, and it was about like the places in the world where people live the longest and are the healthiest and what their routines are, their diets and things like that.
Yeah.
And some of them are that they never stop at least working or cooking or doing something because they always have some sort of motivation or something to look forward to and some level of fulfillment to keep their minds going all the time.
I will tell you this. Elon, he's got this robot coming out. I've sent you some videos. Mm-hmm. At first I was like, hell no. And then they said it could wash the dishes.
Dog and the dishes.
No, wash the dishes.
Yeah.
That's what I want. The dishwasher ain't cutting it. I don't want the robot walking my dogs. Because my dogs would be crazy.
Or babysitting your kids. It'll babysit your kids.
And they're slow as fuck. Have you seen the videos? They're so slow.
No, but what if it fucks your husband too?
They're making those fuckable robots in China right now, like faces and all.
Crazy.
You can curate them to your taste, to your style.
To your preference? Oh my God.
Yeah, whatever your type is.
That's crazy.
What are we going to do?
Girl, I don't know. We're just getting kicked out of everything.
Really quick. If they're increasing the wages, which is what Kamala has proposed to do, that's also going to increase what you're paying out in taxes as well, though.
Exactly.
And, you know, those taxes are going to Social Security, Medicare, whatever. But right now we are on the path to running out of Social Security and Medicare by 2030, 2035. So us paying those taxes,
It's for nothing.
and if they increase our taxes too, we're not even being able to benefit from it. If that's going to run out,
Right.
why do we want to pay taxes anyway if I'm not reaping the benefits by the time I'm old? And then they're saying, well, we might have to raise the age for what age you retire, which is like 70 years old. You mean I'm going to be working until I'm 70?
Yeah.
65 is already cutting it.
Yeah. Yeah. Because when you think about it, the whole midlife thing, people assume it's 50. It's really more like 30. We're going to have a midlife crisis.
I'm having one right now during this episode.
Thinking about your future and your income and stuff?
Yeah, and then right now there's a cap on how much you're getting taxed. So whenever your salary is like $168,000 or whatever the cap is, I think that's it, you don't have to pay Social Security after that amount on anything more you make. Some people think that there shouldn't be a cap, but the thing is, the reason why there's a cap on it is because it balances out how much we're paying towards Social Security, because we only get a certain amount per person. So they'd be buying way more into it than what they're going to get back whenever they retire.
Well, then, yeah, I think that the cap should be in place.
It's just weird. People are weird, dude, because then it's like you have some people that are greedy as fuck, but then you have some rich people that are like donating hundreds of thousands of dollars to like...
But that's a tax write-off.
Hurricane relief. I'm done. I hate politics.
Or like people who buy churches. You don't get taxed on the church.
Did you know that if you bury a dead body in your backyard, it's considered a cemetery? You don't have to pay taxes on your house.
Another loophole.
I know. I mean, I don't know that I would ever do that. I don't know who I would bury back there, but like...
Does it have to be buried or can you cremate him?
If you could cremate them, I'd be sprinkling those ashes. Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I'm gonna put my mom out there.
No! Your mom's living forever.
Well, with me. Yeah, she'd be with me forever.
This just got morbid.
Oh, man. But anyway, go out and vote. Do what you already know how to do.
Yeah. It's red or blue, baby.
Yeah.
Red or blue.
Which also is a fucking scam. The whole Democratic and Republican thing is just a way to divide people again.
I'm going to leave you with this thought. There's not a lot of info and stories and rumors about Kamala being a good tipper. But there is about Trump. They say he's a generous tipper.
Yeah, what do you think he's paying for? What do you think he's tipping for?
Like strippers?
I don't know, girl. I mean, you know the stuff that everybody's heard about him. What
He's
do you
definitely grabbing
He's
the
grabbing,
strippers by the pussy.
yeah,
He's gotta be
exactly.
Shit.
Exactly.
No, but I will say, I mean, he does know more about that stuff because he owns hotels, he owns restaurants, he's worked with
The hospitality.
the hospitality industry. You live downtown. Are you nervous about riots and protests?
I'm not gonna be here, so but
Okay.
that was one of my first thoughts was, I wonder what's gonna happen downtown. Yeah, shit's gonna hit the fan. Depending.
This one's a weird one.
Actually,
I
we're in
think either
California.
way. I think either way, shit's gonna hit the fan. It's feeling weird out here on these streets.
If Trump wins, people are gonna riot downtown. That's what.
Totally.
But if Kamala wins, I don't think anyone's gonna riot downtown LA. Anyway,
I'm a little nervous about it. I got my emergency bag ready.
you should always have your emergency bag ready.
Did I tell you I looked at it and Gabriel had eaten all the food out of it?
Yeah.
So I replenished the food. Okay, anyway, I'm rambling. So sorry.
Okay.
I sucked at this episode, but like maybe not, but like maybe.
Well, because now we're talking about it and it gets you thinking a different, a little bit differently than maybe you had intended. Same thing, you saying things to me. So then it does start to, this doesn't make sense anymore because, well, this side thinks this,
You definitely opened my box.
All right.
And my box was a little open and it was kind of You know, and now my box is open, and now I'm like, wait, what if? Not that box. You know.
Oh my God.
Anyway, these concepts are kind of still under debate.
So who really knows what's actually going to be?
I know.
Well, that's it for today's episode of Golden Handcuffs. Just something that we find interesting and obviously relevant to everybody that we kind of interact with.
It's coming up.
And it's coming up, yeah. So, do your research and don't just think, selfishly about how it would benefit you, because eventually it's gonna...
open up your boxes.
Oh.
And think for yourself.
Follow, like, subscribe.
And God bless America.
America.